Hi everybody, Cheaply Chic. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm creating some more journaling tags or journaling cards, whatever you want to call them. This is something that I really enjoy doing. I know that I have a few videos like this already on my channel, but since I was going to go ahead and make them anyway, I thought maybe some of you would enjoy being brought along and we could create them together. So I'm just going to jump in case some of you are new and just explain what I'm doing here. I love to repurpose old flashcards. I come across quite a few of them while I'm out thrifting. So I'm repurposing these and making journaling tags out of them for my journal from the month of August, which was the Anchored collection. That was a nautical themed collection, something that I come out with in my Etsy shop. So I wanted to create some of these tags, and I'm starting by using some gesso. I'm going to create 2 coats of gesso because of the fact that I am working on quite a few tags at once. I'm only going to be able to finish a few of them on camera. I already had two hours of footage to edit through. I actually think it was a little bit more than that, but I wanted to make some base. Look at that. I'm showing you guys that because I thought it was really funny. My little dauber fell into the gesso. Yeah. Anyway, that is my crafting life. I have a great big craft desk, but somehow it's just never enough room. So I grabbed, I think 6 or 7 flashcards, and because I had all of the mixed media stuff out, I decided to make a bunch of them, even though I'm going to only get through, sorry, tongue twister. I'm only going to get through a few of them, that's the tongue twister. So I put on 1 coat, I dried it, and then I'm going to do 2 coats because I want to cover up most of those numbers. All right, I'm taking a vocal break. So the medium that I'm going to be playing with today to add color to my cards are Tim Holtz Distress Crayons. I never get to play with these enough, and I'm always trying to experiment with them and see what I can do with them. So I'm prepping tags in different ways so I can see how things work on top of other mediums. So here I'm just using some Mod Podge, and I'm adding some vintage book page on top of the flashcard. And then I think I'm actually going to coat the top of that with more Mod Podge. We'll see. I actually edited this part of the video quite some time ago. I'm doing 2 of the flashcards this way. But I wanted to see how the Distress Crayons worked on top of Mod Podge because I had watched someone talk about that and say that it didn't really work. But I found that it worked out just fine, so that was curious to me. Well, hold that thought about the Mod Podge. I'm starting by using some gesso over this book page because I want to dull down some of that text. If you don't have gesso, you could use a white acrylic paint for this. I want to dull down the color and, provide the base for my Tim Holtz crayons. It's funny because that paintbrush that I'm using has one of those really long handles, and I kept bumping the camera the whole time. Apparently I didn't cut all of those little bumps out, but I cut out quite a few. It's just funny. Well, forget that I said anything about the Mod Podge at this point. I am going over the gesso with collage medium. I've mentioned it before, I love this stuff. Maybe I try the Mod Podge a little bit later because I know that I get brave enough to try it at some point. Anyway, I'm going over the gesso with the collage medium because I already know that this works. With Distress Crayons, if you use it on paper without this sealer, it isn't going to move. It's permanent, which is one of the nice things about the Distress Crayons, because if you use Distress ink, because it reacts with water, it's never going to dry to the point of being permanent. That's what's nice about the Distress Crayons. You can do the distressing techniques and make it permanent. So I really love that, but you have to go over either Mod Podge or this collage medium. So I have the collage medium dry, and I picked out some colors that I felt matched my collection really well. I will link, well, it's really hard to just, the Distress Crayons only come in sets, and these are various sets that I have. So I can't link individual Distress Crayons, and I do apologize for that. But I can link some sets on Amazon. So if you just want to be able to go find them, I will leave a link for that down below. So I'm just playing with those colors. I get my paintbrush wet and I like blending it out a little bit, and then I spray it to get some movement and just play around with that distressing effect. I do dry it in between layers because, like I said, that is what is so fabulous about these crayons. The inks would get muddy. If I tried to do this with these colors in the distress ink, it would get muddy and mix all together. But because these crayons are permanent, once it's dry, it doesn't move again. I love that. I also love, you can see on the right hand side of that tag where that green is a little darker, it kind of looks like scuffs. That is where the collage medium didn't take, and it just has that effect. So that was pretty cool. I showed the Mod Podge there. Did I do something with that? Did I go over the top of that? I don't think so. I think I just accidentally left that in the video. I wonder if I was dozing off. Sorry guys. You can tell I haven't posted a video in a while. Isn't that beautiful? I love Distress Crayons. I love that effect that they have, the way they can just dry. It's so much fun and it's so therapeutic. I am not artistic in the way, I can't draw to save my life. I have never learned. I don't know if I could paint or not. I've never learned. But to me, this feels like I'm doing something super creative, and it's so relaxing. Just mixing the colors and playing around with what those patterns look like is just so relaxing to me. All right, as I go back over this video a little bit, the reason that I showed that Mod Podge is because I did coat these two flashcards with Mod Podge instead of the collage medium. I wanted to see how they worked, and they work excellently. I don't think you need to go out and buy the expensive collage medium. Now I love it. To me, it's just like the quality is amazing, but Mod Podge will do the same blending and drying and works out wonderfully. So I just wanted to point that out before we moved on here. All right, so I was off camera and I created a few more tags, and I'm just sharing them with you here, doing the exact same thing that I had been doing throughout this video. And these are the 3 that I'm going to continue to decorate now. I'm sharing with you here a stencil that I picked up from By the Well for God. If you're following along in this Anchored Collection series, I shared with you how I'm going to use this devotional kit with this journal. And I picked up a couple of the extra things. I got this giant tidal wave stencil. It's gorgeous. I love this stencil. I think it's a lot of fun. So this is over in By the Well for God's shop. I will leave a link to that Etsy shop in the description box down below in case you're interested. Also, I am using a permanent ink on top of this on purpose because of everything I mentioned about distress inks and distress oxide inks. They aren't permanent, and I want to make sure that anything else I go over here on these tags doesn't move. So the archival ink colors in, the Tim Holtz colors, that's what I have on hand for permanent ink. So that's why I'm using those. I decided to try to play around with the foam area at the top of this wave. I imagine it being white, like a typical wave would be, but I didn't know how that was going to show up on my tag. So I'm just playing around a little bit and seeing what this looks like. I'm deciding to use the Kleenex that came in the collection. A lot of times I enjoy including a napkin because decoupaging is so much fun, and I know that you guys enjoy it too. But for those of you who are new, I'm just using a water brush pen here to cut out basically my little fish from the paper towel. I can't remember the word tissue. I keep spacing it. But yeah, you get the idea. You can use napkins or printed tissues, even printed tissue paper that you would put in a gift. All of those things collage very nicely on top of our craft projects. So I'm cutting out a few fish here. Another thing to remember, there are usually 3 layers to a napkin or a tissue. Sometimes cheaper ones only have 2, but most of the time there's 3. So usually that back layer of white tissue peels off pretty easily, but the one in the middle can be tricky. And a lot of times I've accidentally gone to decoupage it down to the tag, and it isn't as transparent as I would like because I've missed that other layer of white tissue behind my image. So if you use a piece of washi tape or masking tape and just push it against the back of your paper, it'll pull that last layer off super simply, and I love that. Whenever I just don't forget to do that trick anymore because a lot of time collaging can be a problem if you miss that last layer. Maybe it won't glue down properly if the glue doesn't go all the way through, or you can just see the white lines a lot more. And here I'm using my collage medium again to just decoupage these little fish onto my tag. I add a layer against the tag, stick on my little napkin image, and then add another layer of collage medium over the top. Super simple. Okay, so off camera, I had some cheesecloth. I actually order mine on Amazon because, I don't know, I just found that I can get a bulk of it on there, and I use it a lot in my collection. So I'll link that cheesecloth down below for anyone who's interested, but you can really pick this up at any grocery store. I also have that little bit right there, which is some creepy cloth that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I've mentioned it before. I love layering different layers of texture. A lot of times I think I'm going to be able to do a lot of different layers of textures, but it only ends up being too much. But I thought this looked okay here. So I inked up that cheesecloth with some, I think it was Stormy Sky was the Tim Holtz Distress ink color. You just put it on your craft mat, spray it with some water, and then you can rub your little cheesecloth around in there, and it's great for dyeing your cheesecloth, whatever color you need it to be. I pulled out some of these die cuts. This is from the Simple Stories. I think it's vintage. Well, I'll link them down below. I will link this ephemera down below. But I was super excited to play around with it. I used one of the papers from that collection on the August journals. So I enjoyed the little sea die cuts. I used old paper, one of my favorite Tim Holtz ink colors, and then I'm just using Fabri-Tac to add my embellishment here to the front. Also using some burlap, again, more texture. You can see there that I have a couple different types of burlap scraps, and I enjoy just using as many pieces that are textured as possible without, trying to go overboard. I never seem to use my little letter stamps enough, so I thought I would break those out. This is just a little set of alphas that I picked up at Michael's years ago. I decided to not try to be a perfectionist about this and make my letters messy, make them look stamped, instead of trying to make it look printed, actually, embracing the stamped look. And look at my S, it's upside down, and I was like, oh no. But in the end, I just decided to use it that way anyway. I'm going to use the upside down S. And the perfectionist in me is going to be okay with that. But let me tell you, it's pretty hard. But then I'm like, Lynette, you know what? You're the only one, other than, a couple hundred people on YouTube, that's ever going to look at that upside down S. So there you go. This one I'm keeping pretty simple. I'm just trying to find what I want to add for texture back behind my little title there. I distressed the edges of that paper just to make that title pop, and then I'm going to glue it in place. I thought I would mention this little dauber that I'm using to distress the edges here in this video. I actually received a couple of them free from scrapbook.com. Sometimes scrapbook.com will send you some things, to get you to try them out and hopefully purchase some more later, right? So those little daubers, I came with an order and I decided to try them. I actually do really like it. You have to use them a little bit different than the Tim Holtz ones that I'm used to, but it was kind of fun having that little dauber on my finger and being a little more direct on where I put the ink. So here I'm just gluing some coffee dyed paper to the back of my tags, and I'm going to do some more distressing. Another thing I thought I would mention, this little silicone makeup brush came from the Dollar Tree. My friend Jenny actually sent it to me. Thank you so much, Jenny. I am loving it for hot glue. So many times I will burn myself on the hot glue gun, especially working with that cheesecloth and that burlap. And that little silicone makeup brush is perfect for smearing your glue around. Yeah, it's awesome. I love that thing for hot glue. And then I decided to use my typewriter, something else I'm just not using as often as I would like. And I didn't want to stamp out the quotes again, the verses that I decided to use on these tags, because I was, fighting with those stamps a little bit. So I broke out the typewriter. I had a scrap piece of this tea stain paper, and I just typed my little verse that I wanted on that and used my tear ruler, which I will link in the description box down below. I know those can be hard to run across. And then I'm just layering again. So I remembered that I had some of this embossing powder, and I am loving this dabber right now that you see me using this Distress dabber for the Tim Holtz embossing powders that he has. I had some of this embossing powder that I knew was blue mixed with some white and some brown, and I thought that would be beautiful on a couple of the tags. So I also wanted to see if the embossing ink worked with that, and it did. It worked great. There I accidentally grabbed glitter instead of the embossing powder. So I'm just using that dauber, which is great for adding it where you want it and keeping it off of the other places where an ink pad with embossing ink can make that a little bit more difficult. Then I'm using my embossing gun and just melting that embossing powder on there, and that is it, you guys, other than adding this last verse. I'm gonna finish up this other tag, and then that's it. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. Thank you for being patient with me, as it took me a little bit to get this video up and finished. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who purchased this anchored collection. I appreciate all of you. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I have a couple videos that I'm going to work on after this. I have some fall related ephemera videos that I'm super excited about, and I'm anxious to share that with you guys. All right, apparently I'm not done. I thought I was done, but nope, not done. Oh, that's right. I decided to stamp the word hope because I wanted to add that on my little burlap ribbon there at the bottom. Anyway, you guys, thank you for your for your patience with me today. This video, yeah, not that professional, but that's okay. I missed you guys, and I was anxious to catch up and talk to you guys a little bit. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button. It helps out my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.